Irish guy, and pretty simple here. Let's take a look at every Premier League club and find one former player who you should sign this summer. Actually, honestly, this whole concept is a bit sad and smacks of not moving on. A bit like someone pining for his ex-wife while shoving a bowl of ice cream down his neck while she's out on a date with Brad Pitt. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Serge Gnabry. It always seemed weird that Arsenal just let Serge Gnabry walk out the door in 2016 as if he was just some scruffy garden gnome with the end product of camel vomit. Sure, I know he failed on loan at West Brom, but I'm sorry, Tony Pulis just didn't know how to use world stars in his team. The man just wanted angry goblins in his side, hideous creatures who'd elbow their grandma in the teeth to keep a clean sheet for them. Honestly, giving Gnabry to Pulis, it'd be like asking me to take Rihanna out in the town. You wanna go to KFC? But listen, Gnabry is gonna turn 28 years old this summer, and right now he's currently struggling to stay in the Bayern Munich starting 11. Arsenal will be in the Champions League next season, and this man has scored 4 at Tottenham's ground. Chuck him into the Arsenal squad to provide competition for Saka and Martinelli on the wings. Maybe chuck in a £50 million bid? This guy's got unfinished business at the Emirates. Ozzy, if he retires without ever having returned to the Gunners, I'm guessing he'll probably have a nagging itch. As if a mosquito just spent 6 hours chewing his neck. Aston Villa Adama Traore. Yeah, Aston Villa fans probably forget, but you actually had Adama Traore at Villa Park. It's just back then, you actually look like a normal human being instead of the Spanish Incredible Hulk. Honestly, the man says he doesn't even go to the gym. Stop lying, Adama. Every night you obviously drink 9 protein shakes before tucking into an entire baby cow. Listen, the guy's been at Wolves for 5 years now, and in front of goal has looked about as dangerous as a melted Rice Krispie bun, but the man is going to be a free agent in the summer. And I think if Unai Emery had both Leon Bailey and Traore on the wings, it would make Villa devastating on the counter-attack. Honestly, the utter speed and strength of Traore. Most fullbacks when looking at him, it's a bit like a policeman being told to rugby tackle the Terminator. Yeah, he's probably getting his head through a wall. I just think picking up Traore for less than the price of a Twix, no brainer surely, but yeah, maybe get rid of the other Traore first. Bournemouth, Callum Wilson. Okay, this is ambitious. I know the obvious answer is bring Matt Ritchie back. But I'm sorry, Bournemouth. That's about as ambitious as wanting to marry your mum. He's a washed up Newcastle misfit who's probably got the fitness levels of Brendan Fraser down the gym. I actually think at Newcastle, we're going to see some shocking departures this summer. A bit like how Man City quickly binned off the defensive rock in Richard Dunn early doors. I actually think Wilson is 31 years old, is stuck on 7 goals this season, with just 1 since October. Right now, the guy's in a painful rut, and honestly, just looks like he's waddling about with 7 hamburgers lining his stomach. I know, okay, to the Geordies, the prospect of losing Wilson probably makes them feel like a demented Tom Hanks, but I just think if Bournemouth survive in the Premier League, then they should stick in a £20 million bid. And I genuinely think he's yours. And honestly, the guy would make Dominic Solanke, by comparison, look every inch a drunken giraffe stumbling about the pitch. Brentford, John Egan. Okay, part of me thinks that Brentford should target Said Ben Rama if West Ham go down, but let's be honest, the Hammers are going nowhere. So why not target John Egan? Sure, I know he's 30 years old, but this Cork man is an absolute defensive rock for Sheffield United in the Championship. Brentford's backline are mostly in their 30s anyway, so bring in another experienced centre half who knows how to play in a back 3. And considering he's only got a year left in his deal, you'd probably bring him back to the club for about 12 million quid. Honestly, do it. It just makes sense. Brighton, Marc Cucurella. Marc Cucurella is absolutely stinking up the place at Stamford Bridge. I mean, if he's still at the club by next season, I'll eat toast out of a cat litter box. Time is already up for Cucurella, who's been a massive £60 million flop, but the guy's only 24. Surely, this summer, Brighton, if you just ask to take him back on loan next season and pay his fat expensive wages before promising to maybe make the move permanent for 30 million quid the following year, then honestly, no brainer to me. Chelsea, Tammy Abraham. Okay, let's be honest. Tammy Abraham is having a rotten season at Roma. The guy is stuck on 6 league goals and we're already in March. This is like the sort of hideous goal scoring form he showed on loan at Swansea, back when he was just some teenage cheese-string who had delusions of winning the Ballon d'Or. And Chelsea's buyback clause is £67 million, which sounds like a lot. And his performances this season certainly don't warrant a nearly £70 million paycheck. But I'm sorry, lads, I can count on one hand the amount of centre forward I have seen succeed in a Chelsea shirt, and Tammy Abraham is one of them. Lads, he scored 30 goals in 82 games for Chelsea before he was inexplicably upgraded for a £100 million Lukaku. Thomas Tuchel actually left Abraham out of the matchday squad for an FA Cup final. That was about as clever as licking a grandma with chickenpox on her cheek. If the hideous Graham Potter is still in charge next summer, well, he was once able to get a tune out of Danny Welbeck, so give him another beanpole striker with a point to prove, and I think Tammy would score goals. And lads, especially if Jose Mourinho is the Chelsea manager again, just let him bring Tammy back. Just Just makes sense. Crystal Palace, Jose Font. Okay, this sounds absolutely borderline insane. I know. Lads, Jose Font is a Portuguese centre-back who left Crystal Palace 13 years ago, and now I'm suggesting you bring him back when most of the backroom staff and lunch ladies who knew him are probably retired and dead. Lads, Font is a man who just defies logic. The guy turns 40 in December, and yet still plays for Lille in Ligue 1 every single week. The man has barely missed a single game for them in his 4.5 seasons at the club. This is a West Ham flop who went to retire in peace in China 5 years ago. By all rights, he should be a washed up middle-aged man who spends every night just eating spaghetti on the couch and creepily Facebook poking his daughter's friends. But instead, he played nearly 50 games last season and was lining up against Chelsea in a Champions League knockout tie. This is another guy who's out of contract in the summer, so go on Patrick Vieira. I know he's nearly as old as the pyramids and probably thinks that TikTok is the sound of a clock. Lads, he's nearly 3 years older than Gary Cahill and just 2 years younger than John Terry. I get it. He's old. I mean, when the first Shrek film came out in cinemas, this guy was an 18-year-old bloke. He probably hasn't stepped foot in a nightclub in about 17 years. But I just think he could be the perfect experienced foil for Mark Gahey in the centre of the Palace defence. And Ozzy, you'd cost less than an infected ice cream. Just do it. Everton, Ademola Lookman. Lads, Ademola Lookman is on fire. A few years ago, I absolutely chewed him apart like wet toast after he's playing for Fulham. And in the last minute of a crunch Premier League clash at West Ham, chose to chip a penalty into Fabianski's hands. That was about as clever as smearing Weetabix in your Uber driver's eyes. Well lads, this is the best season of his life. 14 goals and 5 assists in 25 games for Atalanta, including recently a brace at Juventus. And to think, there's just some little boy who began his career at Waterloo. I think Everton choosing to sell this wing talent RB Leipzig for just £15 million was all sorts of idiocy. I mean, that same summer, they spent twice that on Moise Keane. You know, that sulking beanbag with the work rate of a lazy porcupine? This would be an ambitious deal for Sean Dyche. But providing you stay up, chuck in a £30 million bid for Lookman, which is 3 times what Atalanta paid for the guy, and suddenly, this former teenage bench warmer suddenly becomes the most dangerous attacking threat by a country mile. Fulham Chris Smalling. Lads, this seems ridiculously obvious. Chris Smalling has rejected a new offer from Roma, meaning that the 33-year-old centre-half can leave this summer on a free. Apparently Inter Milan are interested, and again, it will be tough for Fulham to compete with them, but this man might feel he owes the Cottagers. They were the ones to pluck him out of obscurity at Maidstone United in 2008, where he was probably just painted hot dogs and River Island t-shirts. While at Fulham, the guy played less than 20 games and scored an own goal at Chelsea in his first Fulham start before ditching them from Man United in 2010. Surely the guy's got unfinished business at Craven Cottage. This guy has been an absolute Roma rock in Italy. I mean, he's only lost 1 of his last 10 Serie A games. The fact Gareth Southgate treats him like he's got smallpox on his face is honestly a minor disgrace. I know it's tempting to move to Inter on a free, but Smalling was in the Fulham squads when they reached the Europa League final 13 years ago. It's just that he wasn't allowed a minute on the pitch in the knockout rounds. So if Fulham can get back into Europe for next season, oh then surely it's going to tempt Chris so he can finally get a crack at a Europa League run in a Fulham shirt, and you can get him on a free transfer. It'll be signing of the season. Leeds Ross Barkley. Yeah, I know, this is weird, but Ross Barkley did play 4 games on loan at Leeds 10 years ago, and right now is a lost, wayward, chunky puppet rotting on the Nice bench in France. But I have never looked at this guy as completely going off the rails like Dele Alli or Danny Drinkwater. Am I the only one who was impressed by Barkley on loan at Villa Park? Does nobody remember him orchestrating the midfield on his debut as they took 7 past Liverpool? And I actually thought he looked decent in his few appearances for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. I don't think this is just like Dele Alli, some Space Jam moment where he wakes up and suddenly he's got the footballing talent of a Pikachu toy. Rescue him from the croissants and art museums in France, where he's probably just a homesick man who hates drinking wine at lunch. Bring him back to Ellen Road, where he can actually communicate with his teammates, and yeah, it'll probably be in the Championship next season, but I think that could kickstart his career. Leicester Kasper Schmeichel. No brainer. I don't care that he's turning 37 this summer. The decision to sell this Leicester City legend goalkeeper to Nice for just £1 million made utterly no sense at all. He did have a nightmare start in France, but to be fair, he has kept 6 clean sheets in his last 7 games, so why would he want to leave? Well, his dad did something weird too, ditching Manchester United after a treble win to oddly move abroad to Sporting Lisbon, where he only lasted 2 years before returning to England at 37. Honestly, Leicester, sticking in £2.5 million bid, and he's probably yours. And honestly, don't let him go until he's 40 at least. Liverpool Danny Inks. Okay, Who else is there? There are no ex-Liverpool players who this club should resign. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I suggested bringing back Raheem Sterling, it'd all burst blood vessels in your mouth. And lads, the guy's on a nearly £400,000 a week salary at Chelsea until he's 32. He ain't going anywhere fast. So I don't know, this summer, Danny Ings will have 2 years left in his West Ham deal, and he knows where the back of the net is. I guess he'd be a good bench warming option for Darwin Núñez. I don't know. 18 million would probably convince West Ham to sell after just 4 months. He's the best of the ex-players, but I don't know. There's not much else. And don't even think about Sadio Mane. He's not coming back. Man City Leroy Sané. It's weird. I always thought that Leroy Sané was Manchester City's most devastating option under Pep Guardiola. Well, apart from Sergio Aguero. So why did he keep just leaving him on the bench? Since moving to Bayern Munich, he's been okay. Just okay. And apparently the club are considering moving him on. But don't let anyone tell you that he's a flop. He's consistently reached double digits for goals every season in a Bayern shirt. Lads, his contract is up in 2 years. I think a £60 million bid would bring Sané back to the Etihad. Man United, Memphis Depay. The answer is always going to be Memphis Depay. Surely this is a deal that makes sense. I know it's not a great look for Memphis Depay right now. He was sort of weaseled out of Barcelona and now is still waiting for his first Atletico Madrid start. Clearly Diego Simeone doesn't like what he sees. But I know he's 29, and I know he was a Manchester United flop on the wing. He was like a cross between Anthony and Dwight McNeil. Just a step over show pony with the end product of a decapitated Barbie doll. But he's now a Dutch centre forward, which Erik ten Hag clearly loves. He's an upgrade on Wout Weghorst, who yes, works hard, but ultimately, he scores about as often as my granddad down the pub. Honestly, considering Atletico bought him for a laughable £2.6 million, then even a £10 million bid is going to put love hearts in their accountant's eyes. Honestly, this is just a sensible, cheap move. Newcastle Ivan Toney. Okay, if Newcastle are prepared to move on Callum Wilson, then why not go and chuck a fat £50 million at Brentford for Ivan Toney? He's only got 2 years left in his deal. He also hasn't signed a Brentford contract since moving from Peterborough in 2020. So he's still getting paid less than 50 grand a week. And considering Newcastle were prepared to give Chris Wood nearly double that a week, oh, Toney, go get your bag. Yeah, I mean, he weirdly spent 3 years at St James's Park, and he played twice. And Rafa Benitez clearly thought he was about as much use as a cardboard fork. But I know he turns 27 soon, but he's guaranteed Premier League goals. And hey, both he and Kieran Trippier can spend their free time secretly gambling together on their phone. But honestly, anyhow, replacing Wilson with Toney is the opposite of what Gareth Southgate likes to do, but it's the right move to make. Nottingham Forest, Ben Brereton Diaz. Okay, well there are slight murmurs that Unai Emery doesn't fully rate Matty Cash, so Steve Cooper should definitely keep an eye on that one. But the obvious one, next season, flush out the endless bunch of bank average misfit forwards like Andre Ayew and Emmanuel Dennis and just bring Ben Brereton Diaz back to the club. You know, the guy who spent 4 years at Forest before leaving for Blackburn in 2018. He's since received nearly 20 caps for Chile, has scored 33 goals for Blackburn inside the last 18 months. Oh yeah, and he's only 23 and is available on a free in the summer. This guy spent 7 years at Manchester United as a kid, literally during the Sir Alex Ferguson glory years. The man's got references. He's a quality footballer. Apparently Villarreal are sniffing around and Blackburn are trying to give him a £30,000 a week contract to stay for another year. But his passport might say Chile, but I mean, he's born and bred in Stoke. He's been at 4 English clubs. He probably sounds like an extra off Hollyoaks. He's not like most Chileans who dream of a move to Spain. This guy sort of just wants to be seen on Match of the Day. He's probably the only guy in the Chile squad to know who or what a Gary Lineker is. Honestly, a free transfer back to Forest on £80,000 a week wages, surely a no-brainer. Southampton, Michael Obafemi. Southampton are going down. That's all there is to it. And Michael Obafemi is officially going up on loan at Burnley. But Vincent Kompany isn't going to keep him, is he? The Irish Beefcake is officially a Swansea player after Southampton stupidly let him go for just $2 million in 2021. Only to spend 10 times that on Adam Armstrong, who is a worse player. Obafemi has got talent. He's got 15 championship goals this season. Bring him back to the club for 10 million quid in June and build a team around him. Again, no brainer. Tottenham, Pierluigi Golini. I don't know, is there anyone? Part of me thought that maybe Kyle Walker-Peters, but you've got too many right backs. You could put on a Christmas play featuring nothing but exclusive Tottenham right backs. I bet Jed Spence would just be the tree. So who else is there? Dele Alli to make the coffee? I think bring Pierluigi Golini back. Someone who was a promising number 1 at Atalanta in the Champions League, but has decided to trade that to spend the second half of his 20s not playing games on loan at Tottenham, Fiorentina and Napoli. But yeah, in the summer, once he gets his undeserved Serie A medal, bring this former Manchester United goalkeeper, don't forget, back to Spurs, this time on a permanent deal, to definitely replace Fraser Forster, but to actually challenge the wobbly Hugo Lloris now. Am I the only one who believes in Galini? Wasn't the plan for him to be eventually Tottenham #1? Why not stick to that plan? West Ham Josh Cullen. Yeah, the third Ireland international on the list. Well, just forget about that one England under-16 cap in 2011, but he's a 26-year-old midfield superstar for Burnley under Vincent Kompany after a £3 million move from Anderlecht in the summer. And once Declan Rice leaves this summer, why not chuck in a £15 million bid for a guy who spent 15 years of his life at West Ham? He was there in 2005. This is his dream move. I mean, he only ever played 3 Premier League games for this club. Lads, he was at West Ham when Tevez was at West Ham. Come on! He was there before Mark Noble made his debut. Honestly, I have found your new Mark Noble. But just give him games this time. Wolves Matt Doherty. Yeah, why not? Nelson Semedo's contract is up in the summer, and Matt Doherty only has a deal at Atletico Madrid until May. But it sort of just shows that Diego Simeone has zero faith in the Dubliner. Semedo is probably taking his job at Atletico in June. So yeah, bring experienced Doherty back to Wolves, so he can add Julian Lopetegui to his list of superstar coaches. Lads, it'll be the second ex-Real Madrid manager he's worked underneath. And this guy used to play for Bohemians. He was discovered by Mick McCarthy. I mean, he's living some sort of Cinderella dream. Anyway, that's what. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? What fun player would you like to bring back this summer? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.